recording. All right, that would have been horrible. Okay, oldies. Yes, I saw some hands for news and for newbies, and that's fantastic. We've got oldies, newbies, everybody in. Okay, so my name's Mary, and I'm really passionate about mental health. I'm really passionate about merriment because I've been to hell and back, like I'm sure a lot of you have, right? Like, I mean, I have had everything from like committing suicide attempts and self-harm and drug addiction and everything, right? Like I'm there with you. Like this is not a charmed existence. I come to this from like a sincere desire from wanting to be happy. I try to be happy. And I know that if it's possible for me to have a fun life, and to feel happy, that I know that it's possible for other people to do that as well. Okay. And I also know what it's like to be disconnected and to feel disassociated from ourselves and to feel disillusioned from the world. I have literally taken a drug called ketamine for almost a decade and chosen to kind of like get out of my body on purpose. And that is, and I've also dated con artists. I've chosen a lot of ways to self-sabotage myself. I'm not coming here to be like, I am an expert in how I've never had to struggle with any of this stuff. I think that it's horrible to learn from a teacher who has never had to struggle. You don't want someone at an AA meeting who's never had a problem putting down a drink, right? You don't want to learn from someone who's never had to struggle. So you want a merriment maker to teach you how to learn to be happy from someone who knows how to do both sides. Okay. All right. So moving forward, this thing is going to give me trouble here today. Okay. So I want you to have the shortcut. Okay. I want you to have the shortcut. That's what coaching is about. Coaching is about you having the ability to leap forward, to have quantum leaps, to not need to take the 15 years that it took for me to get to this point. I'm trying to give you the secrets, the tidbits, the things that I've learned in a condensed fashion. So that's what today is about. And right now, I'm hot about enchantment. I'm hot about going from disillusioned to enchanted. Right now, you might be feeling disconnected, disappointed, depressed, exhausted, jaded, bored, disenchanted, disillusioned, disassociated. I'm guessing that some of these are coming up for you if you're here. Can I see like which ones are feeling applicable for you in the chat? Maybe which ones are you feeling, or something else? Put them in the chat, type them in. Let's see what's going on for you guys. Let's see take the status, the temperature of the room. This is interactive, y'all. I'm not letting you sit here. You came here. Let's see what's up. Disassociated, okay. Curious, great. Depressed, bored, disenchanted and exhausted, disconnected, exhausted, disconnected. Okay, for everybody that's typing disconnected, now I want you to tell me where the disconnection, all apply. Whoa, control all. Yeah, okay. Disconnected. So I want you now to think about, what are you feeling disconnected from? The connection implies that it was once connected to something, right? We trace the cord back to the wall. It turns out it was never plugged in at all right? So what was it plugged into at once? What was it plugged into at a certain point? Tell me, what are you hoping that this was connected to at one point? What are you wishing that you could get connected to before? The outside world. Okay, beautiful. From your friends. A lot of times we know that we know something's missing, yes, but we don't know what is it. Enjoying things we used to enjoy. Okay, it's very important. It's very, very, very important that we're able to identify the feeling and the thing, right? Disconnected from the joy of hobbies, no interest in doing your art, urban farming, hiking. Beautiful. That's extremely specific. I love it. Okay. So I need everyone that's saying they're disconnected from something, disenchanted from something, disillusioned from something, to be able to express, communicate, write down in your notebook and here, to say, what is it? When you trace the cord back to the wall, where was it plugged in before? Or where would you like to plug it in now? Okay. And I want you to stick around because we are just getting started. And as we go through, there's going to be opportunities. Okay. We're going to do live coaching. there's going to be up to 3 people that I'm going to bring on. And as you go through today, you type in any questions, and my team is going to take a look, and they're going to take on the best 3 questions, and I'm going to bring you on live to do some hot seat coaching, okay, at the very end. I'm also giving away 2 free month subscriptions to my Merriment Makers membership. And if you're here at the end, I'm going to give away those 2 subscriptions, okay, for free. I'm also giving away a free playlist, a free 19-page resource guide. There's big discounts. There's a big announcement. So stick around for real. There's also, like, I just went over the live coaching, the bonuses. Here's the picture of the embodiment kit. There's a playlist. There's 170 songs on there. There's a 19-page resource guide. This is one of the most sought after resources in the Merriment Makers, and you're going to get free access to it if you stick around. And you don't even have to win anything. That's just for you sticking around. Here's someone that I've worked with before. Her name's Jen. I've been working with her for 5 years. And she says, I can't sing Uncustomary's praises enough. I stumbled across her website while looking for tools to boost my self-care. It and my self-esteem had taken a nosedive. Flash forward 2.5 years, and I'm catching up with a close friend over dinner, and she paused mid-conversation to make an observation. You look really good. You look happy, and I think it's because you've become more genuine to your true self. She was right, and I credit a large part of that growth and overall happiness to Uncustomary. Mary knows her stuff. Period. Let me add that I'm a mental health counselor, so I don't take that statement lightly. Uncustomary is the perfect balance of fun, education, and support. And if there isn't already an Uncustomary article or tool for what you're dealing with, Mary can create one. She's a real kind, personable human being. I'm a member and loving every bit of it. It's one of the best and most reasonable investments I've ever made for myself since joining Uncustomary 2.5 years ago. I'm excited to see where she goes next. That was written 2.5 years ago. I've continued to work with her both in the Merriment Makers and one-on-one, and I can't even believe the things that she's done since then. She has started a new job. Completely transformed her relationship with her self-love. The amount of audacity and confidence that she has in terms of like what she was believing about herself and her story has radically changed. And without giving away like who she is and like about her story, I'm so deeply proud of the people that I work with. And I know that joy is subjective, but I'm just so unbelievably proud of the people that like put in this work. Lynette said, when I had connections to people, I felt more connected with everything in life. Okay, so the disconnection you're feeling is through people. Okay, here's some more testimonials of people just to let you know that I'm real. I'm a Merriment Maker, and everything I do with the group has been worth my time. We're a really diverse group too, and in varying ages. I'm a nurse, a medium, an artist, and I'm 43. Uncustomary has helped me time and time again to see my worth after loss, trauma, and despite my anxiety and chronic depression. My life is honestly so much brighter, and I feel so much more confident, loving, and open to receive opportunities as they arise. I'm so grateful. It's time to pay it forward so you can experience the same resilient, empowering joy for yourself. What are you waiting for? Okay. Why does this bar keep leaving? Okay, so today in this class, what we're going to be doing, what I promised you, was 5 steps to put passion action on autopilot, 4 clues to discover your passion, 3 tips for romanticizing your life, 2 ways to figure out if your passion should be a job, and 1 mistake you didn't realize you were making. The real world is much smaller than the imaginary niche. Okay, so let's start with disenchantment dysphoria. Okay, so our ability to access healthcare, clean water, and housing is better overall in human history than ever before, but our overall happiness, quality of life, and disenchantedness is also incredibly high. I don't feel like those things should be going in different directions on the graph. These things should be rising together. We have fallen out of love with ourselves and our understanding and connection with the other. Okay. And that means neighbors, animals, environments, elements, and all like everything else that's not ourselves. We feel deeply alone and disconnected from everything. The only thing we are connected to is the news, which is being reported to us from a radically negative and insidious perspective. We've begun to look at ourselves as robots for creating productivity with the end goal being wealth. And we are told to work, 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 work. How can we work ourselves? Can you work more? Can you do a side hustle? Can you do a side hustle? Can you work remotely from vacation? And then when we rest, we will rest in a way that passively consumes content while feeling guilty for doing that too. We consume art that was created by someone else, and then we're called a user on these apps because the thing that we're paying them with is our attention. Speaking of, I'm so grateful for your attention right now, because your attention is your most precious commodity and we cannot get it back. It is okay that you have become disenchanted and disassociated and disconnected. This system has set you up to become disenchanted, and you are more good to society disenchanted than enchanted, aka dead or alive, dead versus alive. Because when you are disenchanted, your soul is dead. And if your soul is dead, you trudge along and you don't ask why. You don't cause riots, protests, or revolutions. You just do exactly what other people want. And it's easier for systemic takeovers to take advantage of people when you're dead inside. And there are also many, many ways where it's also only acceptable for you to be passionate, enchanted, artistic, poetic, imaginative, or childlike in our society in these very specific containers or for certain types of people, right? We've created these black and white boxes, and even then, we try to make sure that you're following these arbitrary rules that we created. Rules are all created. So for example, it's okay for certain jobs to foster imagination, but not others. Like we draw the line. And women are encouraged to be a little more creative as a whole, but at the sacrifice of being deemed more flighty and not taken more seriously. Religion also teaches us to believe in some fun elements of magic, but then if we find ourselves enjoying magic outside of things that align with that particular religion or deity, then we reject them as heretics or false gods. It's all kind of complicated, right? It's all really complicated. We're just out here trying to enjoy our lives. But your body and life is not exclusively a tool for improving yourself. I'm going to say that again. Your body and life is not exclusively a tool for improving yourself. It is also not a commodity or something to be used in competition by or for others. It is not something to be challenged. Your body is not something to be capitalized from. It is not something to be used as a tool for capitalism. You are here. You as a person, as a consciousness, as a body, as an existence, you are here to allow yourself to experience being alive in this physical world in a fun way, in a fun way. We are becoming obsessed with perfectionism, and perfectionism is a way for us to kind of create control over our lives that feel like they are spinning out without us. I mean, I have a dozen neurodivergences, if you don't know that about me. On paper, that's what psychologists say, okay? And I know that that is a result of a chaotic childhood where I was trying to find control in certain aspects, right? And I think that almost everything that we do in terms of a neurodivergence is because we are trying to, I feel you, Jazz, we are trying to find a way to keep control. So whether like, you know, with me, with like, it's OCD, right? Like I'll be like, okay, like I'm going to try to find a way to get this energy out because it doesn't feel like I have autonomy or agency over my life, right? So I got to do this thing in order to make sure that I have control. Perfectionism is just another version of that. And when we do that, we're ruining our joy in the process. I want you to think about what it was like if there was a time in your childhood or even in a relationship, a friendship, a romantic relationship, where a lot of pressure was placed on you. Maybe as a kid, you were told like, you gotta swim really good. You gotta play this instrument really good. You gotta get really good grades. Or maybe in a relationship, someone told you, you need to be this version of you. I expect this of you, right? These really pressured expectations. Did that feel good? Probably sucked. I'm imagining that it sucked. And by placing extreme expectations on someone, no one really wins, okay? No one wins. It only creates resentment, anxiety, and guilt. And by placing extreme expectations on yourself with perfectionism, on yourself and the outcome of your life, you're doing the exact same thing. You're creating intense pressure for yourself where your life can't breathe. So I just want to acknowledge to you that it's fucking easy to become disenchanted with life, to get disappointed, disillusioned, because the goal, the way this system is set up, is to work till you die and check out of noticing if it's happening in the process, to just stuff your face full of Cheetos and sports games and TikTok to temporarily numb this pain. Even if we don't realize that it is pain, it's to notice that we are disconnected, but not even notice from what, just enough so that we feel okay. It's to not notice that we're drowning and to not notice that this isn't normal, but it is possible to come back. It is possible to know that this is not okay. And I'm going to teach you how to come back to yourself today. Revolutions start one step at a time, one torch lit on fire at a time, from one person to the next. And to notice is just enough and is absolutely the first step. So if you're with me and you've noticed this, put a yes in the chat and we're going to get started here. So I want to be clear that there is a difference between expectations and goals. So when I'm saying that there's a difference between having expectations, I'm not telling you do not have high expectations, right? Like I'm not saying don't go above and beyond with your life. I'm not saying let's just give up. I'm not saying any of that, okay? There's a difference between perfectionism and expectations versus reality, and then expectations and goals. Having a goal, let's look at it like this. If I have a goal to become a famous comedian, that's great, right? And I can create goals along the way. I can have the idea of what a year going forward is, or even maybe like a 5-year goal or plan. But if I said that I wanted to have a sitcom with my name in the title, and it's going to have to air every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern on NBC by the time I'm 40, that's a pretty extreme expectation, right? I'm pretty much immediately setting myself up for failure. So my goal for you is to be open to the enchantment, be open to the idea that you have a goal, but these extreme expectations mean that you are creating such a narrow version for what could happen, is that you just don't know maybe the best way. And by showing up every single day to do the thing that you love, the thing that's calling you right now, is the best way. That's it. It's just showing up every single day to create the best work that you have, the best work that's in you, the best play that's in you, the best passion that's in you, the best pleasure that's in you. And doing that as often as you can will give you opportunities to achieve your overarching goal of whatever that is, becoming a famous comedian or whatever. But extreme expectations dissolve the possibility for enchantment. Extreme expectations dissolve the possibility for enchantment. So what you need to do is to let yourself grieve. I believe that grief is whenever you understand that your version of the reality that you thought was real is no longer true. Okay. So if you're understanding that like, oh, I had all these expectations of the way that this was supposed to be. My body is supposed to look like the magazines. My life is supposed to be da-da-da-da-da. My da-da-da is supposed to be whatever. My relationships, my whatever. then you give a space to grieve for that. And grieving does not involve dissociating and going numb even more, disconnecting even more. It actually involves going in deeper into your feelings, and it involves forgiveness for yourself and gratitude. Forgiveness and gratitude are two things on the grief spectrum after anger and acceptance that people don't include. Remember that the only thing that you can control is you. And that's the only thing you need to worry about. And you don't really even need to worry about it at all. So here are some additional prompts for things to consider about perfectionism and expectations or ideals versus reality. Do you feel like the world owes you something? What do you already have? What can you be grateful for right now? How can you maintain hope? What world do you want to live in? And where can you relinquish control? Okay. And write until you surprise yourself. I think a singular identity isn't very interesting, and I'm a little bit more multifaceted as a person than that. Well said, Catherine Opie. Being multi-passionate. Right now, in your workbook, I want you to write down, as I'm talking, 10 things you're passionate about. 10 things, off the cuff. You won't have one precious passion, but you will have only one precious life, okay? There is a common phrase that says, I blank because I am. And I want you to know that it is okay if you don't have one word. I have made up this big word, merriment making, and used it for myself. And it's because it includes a ton of words. And still, even then, I don't have that as an exclusive list. It is not all encompassing. I have many verbs. I have many words. I am an artist. I am a child. I play. They change daily. I want to encourage you to move past labels and not use labels to put as the top of everything, and just use labels as descriptors. Everything connects to everything else. I also want to let you know that having the audacity to hope and to believe in yourself and believe that you can do anything and everything is not antithetical to releasing control and expectations. Releasing control and expectations is a way to kind of surrender to flow, which is imperative to living a life that feels enchanted. You are allowed to be multi-passionate. What does multi-passionate mean to you? What does enchantment mean to you? One of the problems is when finding our passion or purpose, we've been told that it simply must be tied up in how we make money. Well, what if it didn't have to be, what if we didn't have to make money at all, actually? What if that wasn't a thing? What if the way we made money was like a trading system or something, What if that completely reframed our mind? That would be, it's kind of an expansive thought. It's kind of a world-shattering thought. If we didn't have to make money, how would you describe your passions then? Would you be equally as passionate about something else as you are? Like, for example, in Western society, after we've introduced ourselves with our name, we will usually say something like, what do you do? What is your job? And we're fully aware that that person might have a job that they're not passionate about, right? Many people do. But we're still prioritizing that question. How do you make money over what are you interested in? What do you love? What art do you make? Right? It's not a new idea that we stop asking, what do you do for a living? When we first meet someone, that's already been proposed, but I want to take it further. I want to dissect the language for a living, right? What do you do for a living? Because that's implying that this is your whole life that you're living. Like, for a living. Your job is a living, your life. And number two, I want to advocate that we stop ranking interests at different levels as they are related and correlated to the amount of income that they can generate. I want you to take a look back at this list of 10 things that you're passionate about. Are any of those things intertwined with ways you are able to earn money? And if so, how close to the beginning of the list are they? Like at the top when you first started writing? Secondly, are there any things on that list that you've considered monetizing simply because you want to make money or more money and think you could? Have you thought about it because side hustles are all the rage? Is it something you genuinely want to make a business out of? Would you have ever considered making that into a business 10 years ago? These are questions. We are currently living in this society that unless you go completely off the grid, you do need money to survive. And I will never advocate for someone being in a situation, including a job that they dread, let alone is abusive. However, I believe that the entrepreneurship situation in our society has gotten a little bit out of control. Because of social media, things are more accessible than ever, which is great for a lot of things and not good for a lot of other things, right? Just like anything. However, I am going to tell you that this also means that the door has been opened to people in terms of jobs that maybe it shouldn't have been open for. For example, I've been a part of many events in the past couple years where the professional organizers had no idea what they were doing, and it fell apart. And on Instagram, everything looks really shiny, but they don't really even have like, basic communication skills. And then the level of people, utilizing Chat GPT for their homemade content is kind of crazy, right? And these are all additional reasons why we can become disenchanted, right? So my point is, I personally believe this new idea, especially in the personal development and spiritual communities, that you're not self-actualized until you have quit your job is not true. And I'm tired of hearing that. I go to all of these places and these like conventions and stuff where they're like, raise your hand if you finally quit your job. And it's like, finally, like as in that needs to be the last step for your like existence. And I want to tell you that that's not true. If you don't want that or need that or desire that, like stop. We need people on payrolls. We need people to clock in at existing businesses. We need medical staff, therapists, teachers, social workers, transportation workers, engineers, cashiers, sales clerks, stockers, and so many other positions where that person is working for someone else who has their own business. It is possible for everyone to it is not possible for everyone to have their own business. It just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. And if you agree with me, let me know in the chat, or if I'm going completely off the rails here, then that's fine. But I want to tell you, this is not to discourage the statistically small percentage of you who will naturally be good business owners, be it from an entrepreneurial or visionary perspective. And I will tell you that if this is a risk that you want to take, then it's worth it, and do it in a second. But I need you to know that if you don't not start a business or even a side hustle in this life, that you can still be a fully functioning and self-actualized person. In fact, it might even be a better option for you. You'll likely have better security benefits and stability, and you'll get to clock out and be the person in charge of your life, or not have to be in charge of other people. You get to be at work and then not at work. If you're the boss, you're always at work, And if you were thinking about whether or not you could turn your passion into a job, and that was one of the things you came here for, write maybe in the chat now. And let's see. So I'm going to now tell you the two things that you need to consider if you're thinking about your passion being a job. You want to talk about create, make, tour around, be, and exude this passion for the foreseeable future. Forever. Yes, there can and likely will be different iterations and evolutions of this passion, but this is what's up right now. You're in it. It's like a book tour where you're going to talk about this book to everyone you meet for a year, except this is the topic that you're going to be eating, breathing, and pooping as long as your business is functioning. You had a kid called this passion project, and I hope you get along with them. Okay? It's a kid. And yeah. Okay, so that's number one. You have birthed a child. Number two, you are comfortable with an enormous level of uncertainty for the foreseeable future. You will not have control over customers, criticism, or income, really. Even employees, especially at the beginning. You are in charge of getting the entire to-do list done. If your staff doesn't do it, you are the last stop. You will work more than 40 hours a week, especially at the start. Your income is entirely dependent upon how much work you do and how well your business is doing. And in America, you are also responsible for your health insurance and paying income taxes. You don't get taxes back in America. You have to pay them. And don't get me wrong, I work for myself and it is incredible. And I get many privileges like being able to make my own schedule. And I've had some really cool opportunities as a result of this job. And it has also been extremely difficult. And I only do it because I am not well fit for a standard work environment. And I am so passionate about what I am doing. And I cannot imagine doing anything else, even when I'm on the floor crying. And if everything that I've said says so to you, and it doesn't feel like a deterrent, or as Liz Gilbert says, it is a shit sandwich you are willing to eat, then make a business plan and go with gusto, because it sounds like you're an entrepreneur. And if you're like, I'd have to do all that, even a little, then wait. At least wait, okay? So if you were someone who wrote maybe and was thinking about turning their passion into a job, and now you're like, yeah, I'm still absolutely going to do it. That actually just made me feel more passionate about it. If those are the two things I need to consider, then I'm in. Type in 1. And if you are like, I think I'm going to wait, then type a 2. I definitely have no interest in monetizing my interests, being my own boss, or having a business. My parents tried and it was destructive, in my opinion. I would never want to spend my life's energy doing that. Good for you knowing exactly what you want. That's fantastic. All right, we have someone who is still on the right track, or not the right track, but still on the same track with going forward with the business plan. And we have someone that's like going to wait. We have another person that's going to wait. We have another person that's going to wait. Okay. I love that. And you know what? I want to let you know that this is not meant to be discouraging. This is meant to be, if there's a part in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel where Lenny Bruce's character says, if there was any other job, and I mean it, that I could do, I would. And I feel that way. But there's not for me. There really isn't. I really hate the business side of this. I'm going to tell you the truth. I really do. But this part, I can't not. I really can't. And you can hire people for that. You can hire people for that. But this part, I really can't not. And I'm going to work until I die. And that's another reason that I know. But if you're like, I can't wait to not work and I want to enjoy other aspects of life, then you absolutely shouldn't be an entrepreneur. And that's okay. Okay, the next thing, here are some clues to discover your passion. And this is just a fun little game that we're going to play. And if you've already done it before, that's okay. It's a fun little read on yourself. So in your workbook, you have a space for this, and you can also just write it on a piece of paper. So I want you to breathe and clear your mind as much as you can. And I'm going to tell you some prompts, and whatever the first thing you think of is the right answer. Do not go for the second thing. Do not overthink it. Do not do anything more than that. I just want you to think of the very, very first thing, and let your hand write it. And you're going to pick a color. The first color that comes to your mind, write it down. And then 3 adjectives that describe that color. 3 descriptors for that color. And next we have an animal. Pick an animal, the first one that comes to your mind. First one's the right one, always the first one. Do not go for the second one, the first one. And then 3 adjectives that describe that animal. What's going on with that animal? Tell me what's up with that animal. Describe it. And next up, we have a body of water. Any kind, whatever you have in your head. Body of water. Close your eyes. Imagine it. What does that look like? Describe it. Name it. What kind is it? You can be as specific as you'd like. And then 3 adjectives that describe that kind of body of water. All right, and the last one. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that you are in a white room, an entirely white room. The walls are entirely blank. The room is empty. There is no sound. There's no movement. There is nothing about this room that makes it anything other than a completely empty white room. Allow yourself to really be in this room for a moment. Imagine yourself in this room. Okay, now open your eyes and write down 3 adjectives that describe how you feel being inside this room. All right. The color is how you view yourself. So when I did it, I picked yellow. That's how I view myself. The animal is how you view other people. I would write duck. That is how I view other people. The body of water is how you view intimacy and other relationships, specifically romantic relationships and or sexual relationships. And then the white room is how you feel about death. So when I first did it, I felt real anxious, real uncomfortable, wanting to get out, claustrophobic. My boyfriend, however, was like, real chill. And I was like, sorry, what? He was just curious and chill. And I was like, that's fascinating, because that's exactly how we both feel about death. I mean, yeah. But anyway, so now the adjectives matter a lot here. Okay. So the descriptors, the color, for example, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. This is just a really fun thing to do. Carl Jung invented this personality test. All right. The color, how you view yourself, we'll do that a little bit, because this is probably the easiest one for explaining. Yellow, how I view myself. Makes a lot of sense. It's my favorite color. And we're going to explain like the adjectives, right? So I would write down like happy, fun, bright, right? Like those are how I view yellow. And that's also how I view myself, right? That makes a lot of sense. Now, if I had written down yellow and I had written like obnoxious, you know what I mean? Like the kinds of adjectives of why you wrote it matter. Okay. So like the first time I did this test and I wrote a body of water, I wrote an ocean and for the relationship part, and I wrote like vast, mysterious, like something that was like a lot more where I was at with relationships. And then the second time I did it, I had completely forgotten what the codes were. I remember the colored one, but I forgot the other ones. And then I wrote down like a creek, and I was like really intimate, and I was like, oh, this like actually changed over time. So you can do it over time if you've forgotten the answers and see what you feel. And so I'm going to give you like a little code, and you can look up stuff, right? Like you could look up the guide of like the symbolism of an animal or whatever. But like I'm just going to go really fast through, and if you want to look at your color real fast, I'm going to go through some of the main colors right here, and I'm going to spend some time on each slide here, because you should only have one color to read. So this is red and orange. And if you want to take a little picture with your phone, so we're not going to spend too much time on this. All right, next. Yellow and green. And again, remember the reason that you wrote the descriptors matter. All right. And this is helpful in terms of your passion and purpose. If you're looking to get an idea of what do I want to do, right? Who am I? How do I see myself? How do I see other people? How do I view intimacy? How do I view death? These are large topics, okay? So if you're looking to get a clue, to get some feedback about who you are and where you want to go, then this is a really good kind of jumping off point. And then you can kind of get some intersecting ideas here, right? So if I know that I view other people as ducks are joyful, they represent merriment. I know that I view myself as bright and cheerful. I know that I view intimacy as intimate, and I know that I view death now as something that is impermanent. So how can I kind of like connect all of those things? It's pretty interesting, right? And I'm actually kind of doing something with that now. I'm a merriment maker. So it's an interesting thing. Like, how can you kind of like create something that is working all together? Okay, and then we have pink and white. Did anybody get anything really interesting? Any insights, anything that's shocking or surprising? I'd love to hear in the chat. And you can also always look up color psychology to complete this.
So the lime green, and my adjectives were energetic, happiness, and joyful. So it was right in line with this. And, it was just surprising on how to view myself, that I saw myself as that, because that's exactly on the nose, right?
Yeah. I love that. And you can even look up like after this, you can look into the different shades of things, right? Because like green overall versus like lime green and stuff. So that's really
Yeah.
fascinating. Yeah, I love that. And does that feel like affirming to you or exciting?
Both, actually, both. I feel like I've gotten it right when sometimes, life kind of throws things at you and you think, oh, that's not really me. But, it's just really good when like the universe sends it to you and says, yeah, that's who you are. You're a joyful person. Stick with that.
And I believe in the universe, but also I'm going to let you know that you did that. You named yourself right there. All the universe connection was me connecting you with Carl Jung and you showing up today. But no one named you other than you. That was you, honey.
That's powerful. That's giving me chills now. I'm gonna let you get on. I've got chills now. Woo.
So I love it. Life is a mystery to be lived, not a problem to be solved. If you want more enchantment, look up niche. Oh, we got some more. The animal you thought it was a lion. That's your Aries, honey. Ocean, changing, revealing, frightening. What does that mean to you, Candace? You can keep typing more in the chat. I'm going to keep going on with wonder. Okay. Now, wonder. Wonder. I love wonder. Wonder is where it's at with enchantment. I love wonder. Okay. So another word for enchantment, passion, or romanticizing your life is wonder. These are all beautiful synonyms. And sometimes wonder and awe are used interchangeably, but I want to offer a differing view. So awe is that feeling of like when you're underneath a bunch of stars or you see the Grand Canyon, a lot of times in nature, right? Either can happen in nature, but it's that feeling of when you feel small, right? It's that quote of, I know not much, but the sight of the stars makes me God, I'm butchering the quote, but it's that feeling of when you feel humble and small in the presence of something great, and you're just like, oh God, I am just this small speck in this mass thing. Like when you realize how long the human timeline is or how many stars there are, right? And that is a beautiful feeling in itself. Yeah. Now, wonder is on the other side of this, two sides of the same coin, but it is when you feel possible. It's when you feel expanded. Now, I want you to write down in the chat, what makes you feel possible? What makes you feel possible? What a beautiful fucking question. What a delicious idea. Wonder usually happens in nature, interactions, and art. And I want to notice to you that these are all connections. Nature, interactions, and art are connections. We all, at the beginning of this, when we were kind of noticing where we felt disconnected, well, disconnection in itself is a lack of connection. Nature, interactions, art, interactions being talking to people, friendships, going outside, being connected. We are lacking connections. We need more wonder. Working out, feeling like your body is capable of doing things. Yes, Sonia. Financial security. Can you elaborate more on that with wonder? Nature, art, and interactions. Yes. Wonder is when I am asked to help, advise, or join in. Ooh, I love that. So lots of people get to crack back into wonder, especially lately, with spiritual supplements like mushrooms, acid, or DMT. And I believe that they're a wonderful acceleration tool, and I don't discount them, but anything, like anything, it is a tool. And I want to let you know that it is not necessary. I saw something recently that said all these people using ayahuasca to find out things that I knew were true when I was 12. And I want to let you know that yes, all these things can be used. All of these things can be used, but by goodness, wonder has always been accessible. Romance has always been accessible. Enchantment has always been accessible. Mystery and wonder do not require a transcendental experience. It happens every day in embodied experiences, like Sonia was saying, to get back into your body. And you're getting that embodied 19-page resource kit too. We are always searching for something fun, new, novel. We're always looking for new land, terrain, territory. We're even going to space. Play and passion are irrevocably intertwined also. I need to let you know this. Play is a huge pillar of merriment making. And I think sometimes we have called it only play because we don't have a better word for it. Kind of like we just, meaning that I think that play is so powerful, so magical, so important that we have just kind of lumped it in with other things and we're like, it's play, it's just play. But I think that play is transformative and powerful. And sometimes language lacks and it leaves us. And it's kind of like if you're in love or you're trying to explain God, magic, or love, and you're just kind of like, that's kind of all I got for you. You'll know it when you feel it. That's what play is. Explore stuff. Explore things from new angles, perspectives, filters, subjects, levels, cultures, speeds, emotions, mediums, modalities. You will see wonder. You will feel wonder. Travel. It was as important to me to live poetically as it was to write poems. I do think you should write poems. But living as poetry tangibly, how do we do this tangibly? It's not the thing you are excited to make, as it is the way you do it, the way you are excited to do it. Are you making things? Are you living with love, with tenderness, with romance, spice, logic? Like, what is your way that you do something? I was just doing an Operation Merriment mission about the Care Bears. And we were talking about, like, you know, their little symbol, like there's Funshine Bear, there's Wish Bear, there's Grumpy Bear, there's Tenderheart Bear, right? They all have their little symbols. And that's how you do your thing. That's how you live as poetry. You become your Care Bear, right? You'll have your multi-passions. Maybe some days you step into your Funshine Bear outfit. Some days you're Grumpy Bear. Some days you're this, but you can't be all of them. You can't be all the Care Bears. There's too many now. There's too many. And there's too many for you. But there are multiple symbols that you can step into. And there are ways that you can heal and reconnect with yourself and the world through your lens, through your magic, through your merriment. And maybe tenderness isn't your thing. Maybe cheering isn't your thing, but there is something that is your thing. So you go through and you're like, okay, so I do this with my spice. I do this with my wonder. I do this with my comedy. I do this with my advice. I do this with whatever. It's not really about the thing you make. You see, it's about the theme. It's about the mood. It's about the vibe. It's about the how and the why. It's not about the thing. It's never really been about the thing. Here are some ideas. I said I was going to give you 3. I have a whole fucking bunch. Laugh out loud in the audience when no one else is. Begin the standing ovation. Celebrate every milestone. Let enchantment be convenient. Let it be something that you are doing just sitting here. Like, what is a way right now that could feel more magical to you? That could feel like you're singing instead of speaking? That could feel like you are on a more connected, passionate level right now in your chair? What would make the mood feel more, have more ambiance? To smile? Okay. To move your hips, maybe. God, going into the body is the immediate answer almost always. Like candles, yeah. I think the first answer is to go into the body first, and then it's to go into ambiance. I think usually those are the first two things. And if that doesn't shift, then actually change location. Those are the first three things I'd say. Embodiment, ambiance, change location. And also let enchantment be inconvenient for other people and yourself. If you need to travel for this, to remind yourself of how wonderful life is, then let it be so. Speak in stories and metaphors that breathe life into your imagination and demonstrate your unique becoming, your transformation and importance. Whatever happened to fairy tales? Whatever happened to fantasy? Not that we're living inside of it, not that we're like, saying that we're not enjoying this earthly experience, but to enjoy both. Not everything is for children, it's all for all of us. Transformation and enchantment can begin through reimagining yourself through myth and mystery. Lynette says she celebrates a lot, decorating for every holiday and season, for example. Me too. I have a whole crawl space full of decorations for every season. I love that. I love that. Make lists of words that excite you. I love the word bird song. I think that's lovely, or rain shower. But don't just know them, incorporate them into everyday life. Also, stop with the screens. My goodness, stop with the screens. There's a time and a place for these tech devices. Just because you have access to a microwave does not mean that you carry a microwave around with you all day. And that is the same for every gadget. Put them down and use them when it's appropriate. Some of you are using 2 screens right now still. We're talking about embodiment and enchantment, and we're on multiple screens. Participate in your emotions. There's a whole embodiment module in the Merriment Makers. Bring back fun things, like when it's thundering, God is clapping, or bowling, right? Talk to inanimate objects. There is a whole theory that we're going to get into in this month in the Merriment Makers called animism and panpsychism, where all objects have souls. Experiment where you talk to 2 jars of water, one nice and one mean, and show yourself how they react. Scream, the world is alive. Go sit in a spot every single day, no matter what the weather is, and just notice the nature and then talk and sing to it. Watch movies with happy endings. Ask for what you want. Find unique ways to move from one spot to the next, like dancing or flowing or rolling your body, or just like running your hand along something. Use your love language to interact with nature. You could write jokes to trees or make art or spend time with it or sing. Let nature know that you're there. The word enchant literally means to sing into. There's a difference between talking and singing. What about singing? Doesn't matter if you're good at singing. We get uncomfortable when we have to sing, but if we're alone in our car, we can start to sing. Let the still and serious reach you too. I am a very funny person and I am all for jokes, but do your best to be focused and undistracted by multiple tasks, and try to drop the humor if it is a defense mechanism. Experience things first and then document them. Enjoy it before you label it. Experience it and then take the picture. Be present and then label it. Maybe God wants to teach me through pain, or maybe it's through joy. We've all had trauma. We have all had stress. We have all had anxiety, and we are all experiencing this disillusion with the world, this disappointment. And I want to ask you, maybe, are we expecting something? Are we feeling like we're owed something? There are so many layers to this, but what if we started expressing gratitude for the good in what's happening already? What if we believed that everything that's happening, that we saw the good, that we saw the faith in humanity, that we were the restorers of the faith in humanity. What if we were the merriment makers? Okay, so here are some logistics. Putting passion on autopilot. So I believe in letting autopilot work for you. So instead of disconnecting and going on autopilot with our emotions, I believe in letting systems work on autopilot for yourself. So we talked about your ambiance. I believe so much in ambiance in your environment. It's psychologically and scientifically proven to change your mood and happiness. So one really important way to do this is with light. So neon lights, LED lights, candles with LEDs in them, anything that you can light with batteries or plugs, you can do on timers. Okay. There are anything you can Google so many different kinds of options for timed lights. And this is a way to kind of shift yourself from one space into another space. So maybe if you work from home, you can shift gears at a certain time of day where all of the lighting goes from this to this. You can change it for different times of day. You can change it to anything. This has changed the way that I work. It's going from no overhead lighting into something else. It's insane. Yes. Sally's saying buying light bulbs with warmer color temperatures, but still bright, make you so happy. Absolutely. Having lighting incorporating lighting is an insane different, it will radically change your mood. Absolutely. And it will also inform the way that you're able to feel and work, depending on what you're wanting to get out of this. It'll also feel enchanted. Okay. So you can do fairy lights. You can do literally the lighting options that you have accessible to you today versus like 50 years ago are insane. You can go to town with it, but also having them on a timer also feels really magical. Okay. And they're like $12 for the timer and you can plug in a bunch of stuff to them. Also, speaking of timers, so this is what I mean by autopilot, okay? Putting stuff on autopilot that is serving and supporting you to be like, okay, this is a reminder for me. It's about having stuff that's like going on in the background and you don't really have to worry about it. It's just there and you're like, oh, okay, that's how I do this. This is how I remind myself. So another thing is like having a timer go off every day but you have to agree to it. This system you have to agree to. You can have these things go off, and if you disconnect from them, if you disassociate from them, if you don't notice them and you don't agree to this system, it doesn't do anything for you. Okay, you do have to agree. So the timer for romance, the timer for enchantment, it goes off every day. And then you take your lunch break, you go outside. Taking your lunch break is dire. You need to go outside every day. You have a list of your non-negotiables and you stack your habits. A lot of people are like, when do I do this? How do I do this? Stacking your habits is so helpful, but you can also just do a bunch of things at the same time. And if you're someone that needs variety, then you can say, okay, well, I get to decide what I do when this alarm goes off. How do I feel? You check into your body. How do I feel right now? What do I want to do? Do I want to go outside? Do I want to be barefoot? Do I want to go find a flower? Do I want to pick a poem, write a poem, read a poem, watch cat videos online? Do I want to go find a stranger and kiss them? I don't know. What do you want to do? Do you want to just dance? But it's like having a timer for romance every single day. Romancing yourself. Eating lunch outside. The next thing is planning your week in advance and your day the night before. This sounds simple. All of these are simple. In fact, they're very simple. There's things that we might not be doing that are simple, that are important, like a gratitude list. You can say that you know all day long, but as my mom says, don't bullshit me. Just because you know doesn't mean you're doing it. So planning the week in advance means that in the day the night before, both of these things at the same time, means that you have more room for beauty during the day because the boring stuff is taken care of. You know what your schedule is. You know what you need. There's no last minute rushing because you forgot that you need supply X and you don't know how long it takes to get from A to B. So now you're rushing. All of these things that are happening, you know what they are. You know that they're taken care of, and you know exactly what you need to do. So you have time to enjoy your life. And that way you get to be more creative. You get to be more present. You get to be more connected to your body. A lot of the time we are scattered. We're discombobulated. And that's why we feel disconnected, because we're so stressed. So if you know you have a week view at least, and then the night before you're like, okay, let me check in, make sure I didn't forget anything because I'm human. And then you get to relax. We're not relaxing enough. And also cut your work off at a certain point. By X p.m., you're done. Gwen says she has an alarm that goes off every day at 12:34 to find something joyful. Beautiful. Beautiful. Number 4, make a list of your enchanted, passionate values. There's a space to do this in your workbook. What is important to you in terms of enchantment or passion? What does this mean to you? I want you to explain what enchantment is to you. This is different for everybody. Joy is subjective. Enchantment is subjective. Passion is subjective. I know all of this. You know all of this. What are you craving? What is your body craving? What do you want to plug that cord back into? What does that look like for you? What does living as poetry look like for you? You can look up a list of values. I have a celebration manifesto that walks you through it. It's a step-by-step process in the Merriment Makers. But enchantment, we're looking at it through this lens right now, okay? So what are the values of enchantment that are important to you? Does anybody have any ideas? And an example might be, I really want to make sure that I am prioritizing travel. I really want to make sure that I am prioritizing magic. I want to prioritize ambiance. I want to make sure that I'm prioritizing truth. I want to make sure that my values include freedom. I want to have celebration. I want to have peace. Yeah. Through the lens of enchantment, your values might look a little different. Zest. And if your to-do list that you're making for that week and the night before the next day doesn't, like, if you are doing something that doesn't go under the umbrella of these values, what are you doing? You're kind of wasting your time on something that you don't want. Because if you keep saying that you want an enchanted life, that you want to feel more passionate, and then you keep making these to-do lists that are all about hustling, that are all about stress, that are all about rushing, there's no way you're going to feel enchanted. There's no way you're going to feel passionate. There's no way you're living as poetry if your to-do list is all about rushing and being disconnected. Also, identify your goal for that week. This is about actually like living in line with something that you want to do, a goal, and just do it for 5 minutes every day. Just show up for 5 minutes. And this can be a hobby. This can be a pleasure. This can be a passion project. This can be turning something into a job. This can be eating bread every day with the ducks. It doesn't matter what it is, but if there's something that you want to do that connects to your soul, show up for it 5 minutes every day. And also make a gratitude list. Glennon Doyle said, here's my hunch. Nobody's secure. Nobody feels like she's completely belonging. Those insecurities are just job hazards of being human. But some people dance anyway, and those people have more fun. Okay, so the one mistake that I said that I was going to tell you that you are making that you might not know is that you're not scared that you don't know what to do. You're scared that you do know what to do and you just don't know how to make it happen. Most people are not afraid of failure because we fail a lot. We're afraid of success. Joy is actually one of the most feared emotions. It's like at the top. It's horrifying. And I believe, I don't have data to back this part up, but I believe that one of the reasons that we're afraid about this part is because we're so terrified of logistics. We haven't been taught a lot of things in life. Like in school, we were taught so many stupid things that are like irrelevant, and we weren't taught, basic adult stuff like taxes or how to sew or, how to rent a U-Haul truck, right? And that stuff is annoying and terrifying. And then you get to be 30 and 40 and 50, and it kind of feels embarrassing and daunting to just not know all this stuff. And the thing is that you know what you want. There's an aching in you. You might refuse to admit it to yourself even, but you do know what it is that you want. And I'm going to be very real that just because you do know, even if you admit it out loud, even if you have a plan or you say you have a goal or an expectation, however you want to frame it, does not mean that it's going to happen. It doesn't mean that it has to happen. And that's scary. Knowing what you want creates the opportunity for alignment. It does. And how I want to know if you feel like if what you're doing today on your weekly and daily lists or activities or actions is actually creating the opportunity for what you want in the future or even in this moment. We were saying, can we make this feeling more enchanted? Are you feeling distracted at this moment? Are you paying attention? Are you wiggling your body? Are you making your life feel more enchanted in this moment? Or are you doing the exact same shit that you came here to stop? This goes for living a more enchanted life, or being happier, or having your own business. Just because you know what you want doesn't mean it has to happen. So I want you to think about what your enchanted self does. What does she feel? What does she wear? Write it down. Share it in the chat. And then keep checking your to-do lists. If your task does not meet this criteria, it needs to be altered. Make a list of habits your enchanted self does. Show up every day for these habits. You are the one that's in charge of logistics. These logistics scare the fuck out of us. And I want to let you know that all logistics are doable. Everything can happen. Just because you don't know how to hire a moving company or, make a website or whatever it is, doesn't mean that someone else can't. And it's doable, even if you are not the person that does them. Do not let the fear of logistics, pending logistics, prevent you from living the life that makes you feel the best, the happiest version of yourself. If logistics are the only thing in the way, that would be the saddest thing. So, are there any logistics right now that you're afraid of dealing with once you step into the enchanted, passionate version of yourself? Yeah, Jazz says logistics are so overwhelming to me. They are. 2 years ago, I realized everything is just logistics, and it changed my life. Everything is just logistics. People are just people. Everything is just logistics. Once you realize that, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. It's just a moving company. They're just people on the other side of that. They had to learn it, and I don't need to learn it. I just need to figure out how to get what I want out of them. Doesn't matter. It does not matter. If they can't help me, someone else can, or I can get someone to help me help them. It doesn't matter. And you just break it down one thing at a time. But if you want to be a writer and you want to write a book and you're so scared because you don't know how to like design the book, and that's why you're not starting to write, fuck that shit. Fuck it all the way to hell. Like, seriously, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's not Enchanted. That's not Merriment. That's not cool. It's stupid. That's some low level shit. Whatever that is, start it now. And also, can we just acknowledge the fact that we are living in like the best time for logistics? You can Google and YouTube anything, at least for someone to find the answers for you. And you can be in a place, the logistics of getting a job are so hard. Yeah. And I'm not saying that all of these things are easy. I thought that moving out of this house was going to be like the hardest thing that I ever did. Nope. I decided that I was like, nobody's going to take me. My credit score is too low. I'm gonna, it's gonna be so hard, like all this stuff. And then I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I went online. I looked until I found a house that really felt good. I called that person. I went to the house. We really liked each other. And now I'm moving there. Not saying that it's always that easy, but I never even tried before that because I was scared. That's what. And then like we just don't sit down to do stuff, and we just don't, right? Like, so like logistics of a job, the resume, like I just had to make my boyfriend help him with his resume, and it's annoying, there's so many little things. It's like the references, the phone number, the emails, but it's not impossible. I didn't even know most of that stuff, but I had to just like one thing at a time. It's a checklist, one thing at a time. You plug it in. And so grateful for Canva because that whole template was completely there. I just plug and play, plug and play, plug and play. And then it was done. I didn't know how to write the objective, so I Googled objective. It was there. Plug and play, plug and play. He's now applied at 15 places. He has callbacks. It's not impossible. We think that it's impossible because it's overwhelming. But why is it overwhelming? Why are we letting it be overwhelming? Think about the hard things that you've done. Think about the really hard things that you've done. You've done some hard shit, some hard emotional shit. Is typing in a resume going to be more hard than that? Is going to an interview going to be more hard than that? Really, though? You can do that. You can do hard things. And I want to be very clear that the enchantment goal, this life, is not about completely romanticizing ease. I believe in your strength. Hard stop. You can do hard things. Enchantment is what you need it to be. Now, the merriment making method is about embodying joy, creating joy, and spreading joy. We are inside of the passion module right now, and that is inside of the create joy space. And it can also be, from the way that we are looking at it right now, in part of the embody joy space. The idea here is that I believe that, like a lot of people, that you can't really pour from an empty cup, right? You kind of have to feel good so that you can do anything else. Now, the difference between me and a lot of other methods is that I believe that once you feel good, you must give back. I don't believe in only self-love. I believe in creativity. and then the spreading of joy and kindness and altruism. Okay. So enchantment, from the way that we kind of angled this today with living as poetry and being reconnected to ourselves, is really about reconnecting to our bodies. Okay. But the original angle of passion goes here in the create joy section. And then the last part is in spread joy. So these are the sections of the merriment making method. So we have embody joy, which is about connecting to yourself and feeling good. Create joy. This is about what you make, your art, creating and connecting to people. Okay, this is your passion, this is your art, this is your connection. So I don't believe that you can really get here until you are here. It goes here, here, here. Feel good so that you can create and connect. And then once you've filled this in, then you go here. Then you begin celebrating kindness, spreading kindness, advocating, and being the change in the community. Because your cup flows from here to here to here. Rainer Maria Rilke said, "If your daily life seems poor, do not blame it. Blame yourself that you are not a poet enough to call forth its riches. For the Creator, there is no poverty." We take radical responsibility in the Merriment Makers. You are the change. It starts with you, and then it continues. And now I want to go through a little slideshow of some joy that I found and remind you of all the good.
I laughed at all his words. I thought he was a bitter man. He spoke of women's ways. They trap you and they use you before you even know. For love is blind and you're far too kind. Don't ever let it show. I wish that I knew what I know now. When I was younger, I wish that I knew what I know now. When I was stronger, the can such a pretty show to steal your heart away. The backstage back on earth again. The dressing rooms are great. They come on strong and it ain't too long, but I make you feel a man. But love is blind and you soon will find you're just a boy again. When you wanna live, you get a cheek, makes you wonder where you are. If you want some more, then she's fast asleep, keeps you twinkling with the stars. Poor young grandson, there's nothing I can say. You'll have to learn just like me, and that's the hardest way. Ooh la la, ooh la la.
Okay. So I just want to remind you that there are weirdos out there, and there's really important work to be done, pleasure to be had, play to be played. And there are so many angles I could have taken that with, but I love weirdos. I love them. And merriment makers are my favorite. And this is a little manifesto that I wrote. Merriment makers are kind to themselves before everything else. They celebrate the unusual. They are weirdos. They make gratitude lists. They send real mail. They love to laugh really loudly. They interact with strangers, even anonymously. They believe in magic. They encourage silly jokes and puns. They drive to the end of the rainbow. They keep their inner child alive at all costs. They talk to animals. They carry googly eyes with them everywhere. They know that ducks are hot. They dance in grocery store aisles, and they take pictures of murals. They feel good so they can do good. Now, I told you we're in the passion module, and this is stuff that's already in the passion module. There's the passion purpose workbook, masterclass, how to find your purpose masterclass, an EFT training on releasing fear around choosing your purpose, an interview with Caroline Lakudis on being multi-passionate, a podcast on being the one archetype, 7 dharmas archetype worksheet, how Jupiter return affects your purpose, dosha quiz, so much other stuff, right? This is all already in just that module. And then here's stuff that's coming up in the passion module. This is not a non-exhaustive list, a much longer version of this masterclass. 100 Ways to Live as Poetry, Value Polarities podcast, How to Be Brave podcast, Filling Yourself with Meaning Visualization, How to Work with Your North Node and Mars Placement Workshop, EFT to Calling in More Enchantment, Enchantment Resource Guide. And that is just one module. So inside the Merriment Makers, these are modules that already exist, okay? All of these. And you also get Merriment texts, Operation Merriment, monthly mail, the group chat and community, 1,000 resources, a membership, and a birthday card. So these are all things. I mean, this is already over $50 worth of stuff that you're getting, plus the 1,000 resources. And these are all of the different modules that exist. So it's quite a lot. And then let's see, here are some testimonials from people that have already joined. A wholesome, fun, and experience group. I love this community of merriment makers. The support and friendships combined with a massive amount of resources definitely helps me in both my low and high moments. That's something that I really like, that we can be there for people when they're struggling, with mental health or having a hard time. And we can also celebrate things that are happening that are really positive. This membership is like receiving a party in your mailbox each month, both literally, because I give you a newsletter in your mailbox each month. Here, I'll show you. Like a physical newsletter. It comes in a bright, shiny, and iridescent envelope. And you can also get it's international postage, is free. Operation Merriment is the I guess I didn't explain these. This is like a month or a weekly tutorial. We go through an unusual holiday. We celebrate an unusual holiday. I give you like a slideshow, mood board, trivia, history, ways to celebrate. And then we go through like a tutorial of how to go spread kindness based on that thing. Like I said, last week was Care Bears. And then Merriment texts every single day. You get a text message from me, and it's like a good news story plus an image plus something else. So it's like a good positive fact, a fun fact, a wholesome meme, a poem, a positive affirmation, a custom designed puns. Those are my favorite. Okay, let me keep going. Makes you feel like you're having a cheerleader to cheer you on your goals every single day. For me, it's the community. We all need a reminder that we can be merry and share it with the world. Okay, and if you sign up for the Merriment Makers today, you will also get 2 bonuses. You'll get the body image e-course. This is my iconic, one of my original courses that was greatly requested, the body image e-course, the advanced version. So this is $111 value, and you're also going to get the PDF ebook version of my Merriment making book. Okay. Also today, the members didn't even know this until an hour ago, but we have launched a brand new member site today. It's very exciting. And if we have time after, if everybody wants to see, I mean, you can't see it until you're logged in. It's like the dashboard for the members, but also the sign up page is new as well. But inside there is a whole new dashboard. It's exciting. It's everything that I've ever wanted it to be. I've spent months working with this great guy at Cube to make this whole thing. It's on this brand new platform, fuck Teachable. And I'm so excited to launch it. And this is our new mascot, the Merriment making duck, Mary. So to launch this new site and this whole new chapter, we're having a celebration sale. And with the Enchantment webinar 111 coupon, you can save 37% off for monthly subscriptions. And you can also save 40% off a yearly subscription, which is already 9% off. And you can get all of this if you go to the link, which I'll put in here. And if you sign up today and you get an annual membership, you will also receive a free 45-minute coaching session with me. So that's an extra bonus. Also, 5 cents of every dollar for the subscriptions is donated to NAMI, which is supporting mental health. So today I just want to go over what I promised you. 5 steps to put passion action on autopilot, 3 tips for romanticizing your life, 4 clues to discover your passion, 2 ways to figure out if your passion should be a job, and 1 mistake you didn't realize you were making. And then I also went over some extra stuff. Athena says, I would do it right now. Do yourself a favor, join the Merriment Makers. You'll learn so much. Uncustomary helped me time and time again. I think I already posted that one. Okay, so now it's time for the giveaway. Can I please know who is winning a free month? April and Alana. Alana is already in there. You have to redraw.
Yes, I'm already a member and I love it.
Thanks, Alana. All right, well, congratulations, April, and we're waiting for a redraw. Sally. All right, guys, we will be in contact with April and Sally for their free month. Okay, and now we're on to the one-on-one coaching. So if you have questions, put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand. You can use the little button to raise your hand if you want to come on to get questions to something or ask anything that you want to do personally for this topic or anything that I didn't cover that you want clarity on. No? We all good?
Mary, I have one question.
Yeah.
How do you how do you stay in your space of being a merriment maker if you are surrounded by people who just think you're just wacky and unrealistic and irresponsible, that kind of thing.
Are you talking exactly about me or yourself? Because you're describing at
Oh,
least
I'm sorry, me. Anyone, anyone.
no,
Yeah.
'cause no, it's funny because you're describing me as well. So, I mean, the first thing is that we can't really take on any responsibility or anything from anyone, what anyone else thinks, right? Like I mean, that's just the base core of anything, because if you take on what anyone else believes or projects onto you, then it becomes not yours, and it becomes your problem, it becomes your anxiety, it becomes so much more, right? I mean, like at the very core of it. But then, I mean, it's the same thing as like if someone said that you're ugly or something, right? Like it's like there's no real difference at that point, right? It's like what's the difference between someone devaluing your character versus your physicality, right? It's just a judgment call. Now, I guess the difference is that I'm sure that people have said things about you where you have had no problem brushing it off. And like someone, I'm sure on like the street or anyone has probably said something to you where you've been like, that's insane, right? And there
Yes.
might be a reason that someone has said this, or maybe you've heard it more than once, where you've taken it on and you held space for it enough that you're bringing it up now. And that is the thing where you're like, okay, well, I'm actually holding space for it because there's a part of me that's believing that too. So that's actually the point. It's not about the person that said it. It's about the fact that you are quote unquote triggered by it because you believe it a little bit too, enough that it's holding, like, because if someone said like, you have red hair, you would be like, okay, like live your life today. That's have a good day, because your hair is like objectively not red in your reality, right? But because someone said you're irresponsible, da 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 da, then you're like, who told you?
You're
Right?
absolutely, you're absolutely right.
So
Thank you. That's helpful.
yeah, I mean, but also here's something that I have, you know, recently realized on an episode very recently with Lux, on my podcast. She was talking about being edgy and like all the things that, like, that's her persona and being edgy, right? And all these things where like kind of doors become closed for her in certain worlds because she's edgy. And I immediately kind of, made it about myself, as we all do. And I thought about how I come off as frivolous, and that's the way that a lot of people look at me in this certain light, and that sometimes rubs me the wrong way, because I feel that I need to kind of over deliver with the fact that I have like degrees, or that I am smart or something, right? That I'm the other end of the grounded or intelligent spectrum. So I was like, well, she said, yeah, but I want to be edgy though. She said, I want to be edgy, and it's okay if some doors close for me if I'm edgy, because so many other doors open for me as a result of being edgy. You don't want all the doors to be open for you. You don't want to be if you're vanilla, then all the doors are open for you, maybe, right? But even then, no. Now if I'm childlike, which is really where the frivolousness is coming from, that directive, that statement, that judgment, if that's where that's coming from, then fuck it. I want to be childlike. I'd like to be wondrous. I'd like to be enchanted. And if the judgment that's coming along with that is frivolous and etc., then so be it. So be it. And doors will close for me that shouldn't have been open in the first place, because I have stepped into this place of being very childlike, and this is who I'm supposed to be right now. So the same for you, like whatever is coming along in this package with you of being this joy maker, that sometimes will come along with a little bit of chaos, and that's okay. So can you embrace both parts is the problem, right? That's the dilemma. Can you embrace both parts? Now, if there's a shadow element for you that says, I really don't like the times when I feel, irresponsible. Well, what does that mean to you? Does that feel like you are not being respectful of someone else's time? Does that feel like you're not being respectful of your own time, or whatever that is, right? Like that's some work that you need to do with yourself. That's all. That's just a question of like, why is that really bothering me? And then you just course correct. And that's it. But there's never, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Oh, thank you, Lynette. It's amazing how direct and honest you are, unapologetically you. Thank you. And you know what? That's a great example, because I am very often criticized for how direct and honest I am, because it depends on what room you're in. Isn't that the case? Isn't it? If you're in a room where people don't want to hear the truth, you're a bitch. Isn't that the truth? So always, I appreciate the gratitude, because truth telling is it is a gift. It is a gift. So does anyone else have anything personal that they'd like to ask? Anything nibbling at them? Anything else they'd like clarity on? Anything to share verbally? Last call. Okay, now you can get your free playlist and your 19-page embodiment resource kit guide if you go over into my free Facebook group called Jumpstart Your Joy. And Francine, if you can place that link into the chat for me and people can jump over in there, it should be automatically posting at 3:45, which was 7 minutes ago. And there you go. You can join that and we'll add you in there, and those links will be there for you to access that free playlist and the awesome resource guide. Okay, so to sum up, we would love to have you over in the Merriment Makers for this new launch, this new iteration, this beautiful duck-covered, colorful website. And you can save up to 40%. There's $171 in bonuses. You can get a free coaching session if you do the annual membership, and you do that today. There's the new website, proceeds go to NAMI. There's 1,000 resources, and you get immediate access to all of the services. And you can get that at uncustomary.org/merrimentmakers. And I just want to thank you for coming, and oh, you're still pinned. Thank you for coming and for spending your time with me. Like I said, attention and time are precious, non-renewable resources. And I hope that this was helpful for you. And, let me just also say that Enchantment, in terms of the Merriment Makers, and just what we do over there, your happiest life looks different than someone else's life, and I will never tell you what it's supposed to look like. I'm here to help you figure out what you want and then squeeze out as much potential out of that idea and into that reality. But reality does include how to figure out what you want and how to make it happen. And I have that, really handled with this 9-step method. So let me figure out how to do those systems, and all you have to do is show up and plug and play them. So we all have to delegate certain things. Your accountant does your taxes, the mechanic fixes your car, and I'm the Merriment Maker, and I supply you with joy. So there's nothing more important to invest in than your happiness. And the Merriment Makers is a way to ensure that you are being prompted with good news and positive perspectives and wholesome reminders and valuable resources of how to integrate this every single day. And you can continually renew your faith in humanity and yourself. That's my job. So if you're ready to have good news coming at you from all angles, then this is the place for you. And I'm not here to keep you on the computer past this call or even in your journal. The Merriment Maker is about like hundreds of challenges to get you off your phone and out of your house, because things are shifting and we have to reconnect, not just with ourselves, but with the world. And like I said, I don't just teach about self-love. I teach about how to give back to the world. And I'll teach you a lot of really fun and easy ways to do that. So I loved you guys. Thank you. Thank you for all of the love. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.